Hey everyone, welcome to Horrible Gaming. My name is Nora, and on today's video I am teaching you how to build a realistic Japanese styled home. Before we get started, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like, subscribe, and notify button if you want to see more content like this in the future. So today's build I'm really excited about because we're going to be using the medieval wall and my favorite item, the wide display shelf. I swear I've been using the wide display shelf on a lot of my builds lately because the item is just that good. And I wanted to go ahead and also put into this video that this build uses a lot of perspective and a lot of item manipulation. So make sure you have all the items you need before attempting this build. I think this build took me, at first when I was trying to figure out how to even build it, roughly an hour and a half just trying to figure out the placement. I really wanted the building itself to capture the traditional Japanese home exteriors that we all know today. Also, when I was making this build, I realized I needed to push everything back by 1 square, so make sure you do that as you follow this video because later on I'm going to have to push all this back. But we're also going to be using the storefront item, but we're going to be hiding the front of it with simple panels. So all the codes that I'm using today will also be found in the video's description in case you want to use them too on this build. But honestly, any type of screen and wall texture will work really well with this build, so definitely choose whichever suits your island theme the best. So I wasn't really planning on doing any more Japanese content for the moment because I have other build ideas that I really want to focus on first. But after creating this build, I had a lot more fun than I expected. I just really liked the ability to make this feel super realistic, basically not like Animal Crossing whatsoever. So now I'm kind of determined on doing a whole entire island around this, something very modern and very realistic. And I would also love to add a countryside to this as well if we do commit to it. So let me know if you want to see more builds like this in the comment section below, and also builds you just want to see in general on this island. But I'm definitely going to be messing around with different build styles and home styles to see what else we can do with the display shelves and just capturing the realism effect on Japanese islands. I feel like Japanese islands didn't really get as much love item-wise for like realistic builds on City Core, so the fact that we were able to finally make use of medieval wall and all these items that we did get finally on a build makes me super excited. I've had many of you asking for ideas on how to use the medieval wall on Japanese islands, and so far the only one that I've been able to do was the temple build, but today we were able to create a house. So I feel like we're making progress, and hopefully we can keep brainstorming some other ideas and layouts that you can add onto your own island. Another item that I'm really appreciating lately is the short simple panel. Now I know that when we got 2.0 I complained majorly about this item because it was not my expectations, which I still agree with till this day. Like, I am mad we can't place this on top of items. That is ridiculous to me. But I have appreciated it more because now we can use it in front of the taller simple panel, and it just kind of like makes the build overall feel a little bit more realistic. You don't have that repeating design going on in the windows, and you can hide the bottom of the display shelves better. So I love that item for this kind of reason, but again, I do wish that we could place them on items still. I feel like that is such a letdown on Nintendo. They should have definitely given us that option. So it is growing on me though after seeing it on multiple builds lately. Like, I used it on my realistic nighttime city and I fell in love with it since. So you're going to be seeing a lot of my builds use this. The only negative I have with the panel is, again, it's not going to be super flushed up against the secondary panel with it, but it's still a really good item, and I've come to really appreciate it, especially when you're trying to do realistic builds. So once we finish with the rooftop, we're going to remove all this excess terraform, and then I'm going to be cleaning up the edges a little bit. You can totally skip this next step if you want to reduce any possible item loading in the future, but I want to cover up that terraform, so we're going to be using the bookshelf, and then we're going to be using 2 more medieval walls on the side. Then I will cover some of the medieval wall with different sized trees and greenery. I also want to say thank you to everybody who reached out on my recent community post about theme ideas you want to see on the channel, and I think my confirmed planned ones at the moment will be the realistic Japanese city. If all continues to go well, I'll definitely commit to that because I'm a sucker for Japanese themes. Always love building them. I mean, they're super fun to build, and there's a lot of great items for it in the game. then I want to also finally return to the New York island. I know many of my followers have been wanting this island to happen, and a huge reason why I haven't been working on it is simply because I literally know nothing on New York. Now, I know I can say that about Japanese islands too, but there's a lot more I can refer to online, and I have some people who actually live in Japan who can help me out with this, and I like having that extra resource to kind of figure out what things need to look like when I'm doing islands inspired by someplace I don't live in. And I finally found somebody who lives in New York who has been guiding me on basically what to add onto that island and some ideas. So I will definitely be returning to that now since I feel a little bit more confident now to approach it. Then I want to do a island inspired by a mall. So the whole entire island will be a mall with a bunch of storefronts. That island is going to be taking me a little bit longer to just prepare because I need to get help with design codes, but that is for sure going to be happening next. So I do have some planned islands. It's definitely going to be several city cores back to back, so hopefully y'all will be excited for those future themes. So now that we have the main home finally built, we're just going to work on a couple of transitional ideas you can do from this. I decided to do this near the entry because it's honestly a very simple entry to do. It's not as crazy like most of my entries are, so maybe a simple entry is what someone needs right now, especially if you're limited on space. So hopefully this also brings you some inspiration. What I'm going to do behind these hedges is actually move one of my villager homes behind it just to add and fill into the realism effect over here. And I love incorporating my villagers basically into builds like this, and I just kind of like throw them everywhere. I know many of you ask me, how do you incorporate your villager homes? And honestly, like today, I just throw them when I find a convenient location. I don't really do villager neighborhoods. If I do one, it's going to be like a cul-de-sac style at most, but that's just my personal preference. Anyways, that's it for today's video. I hope that this brought you a ton of inspiration. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. With that being said, thank you so much for watching and have a horrible day. I'll see you next video.